Okay. It is a big broadcast. It is coast to coast, and it is Bona to Bona. It is TuneIn. It is iTunes. It is that radio loyalty. Hell of a deal. Sometimes, my friends, there are duds. Sometimes there's good stuff. Sometimes I want to pull my freaking hair out. What I've got left of it, as you can see on there, in the old, the old other side there. Sometimes I'm just like, my God, give me something here. That last interview that we did, I'm sitting here going, my God, lady, give me something. Jay's pulling her hair out. My God. My God. As my Aunt Verna would say. Good night. I wanted to say good night. But it is the world famous Jiggy Jaguar radio broadcast. Feeling good today. I got up this morning on the old Facebook, and I got some messages from some folks, and I decided, I'm getting rid of the toxic people and the people in my life. I'm getting rid of them. I'm getting rid of these pieces that are out here. I am going to get rid of some of these pieces. That's what I'm doing. So bang. See ya. Bye. Gone. Gone is what I say. Gone to you, my friends. Get out is what I would say. Get out, as Ross Long would say. Ross and I, what is this? Did I send that already? Let's see if I sent that already. I believe I sent that already. No, I did not. Okay, well, we will send that. Coast to coast, border to border, TuneIn, iTunes, Radio Loyalty. Of course, the fantastic, world famous Jiggy Jaguar radio broadcast is up and running. Each and every week, we come to you live from our big program. Lots of fun stuff happening. Lots of fun stuff happening, as they say. Yes, indeed. We are going to get a hold of Peter Trabuco here in a few moments. Peter Trabuco, as I used to call him on our old, on the old stomping grounds. I don't know what that means. I don't know who Peter Trabuco. Peter Trabuco, as they say. That guy. He's going to join us here in a few moments. We are trying to kill some time with our... Well, look at that. We have killed some time. Well, I'm not trying to kill time, but it's there, as they say. It's there, as they say. Who's saying it? Why are they saying it? They are indeed saying it. We're going to try to get a hold of Peter Trabuco early. Get him on. Because our last guest was a total dud. That's all I got to say. Peter Trabuco is going to join us here in just a few moments. He is a travel specialist. He is the man, the myth, the legend, as they say.
Pete Trabuco.
There's Pete. How are you, sir? It's James Lowe from iHeartRadio. How are you, man?
I'm sorry?
It's James Lowe from iHeartRadio calling you for your radio interview. How are you, sir?
I am good. Is this going to be taped or live?
We are taping this for our Easter broadcast that we are going to be doing on Sunday.
Okay. Could I call you back in about... Oh, can you call me back in about... I'm in the doctor's office right now.
Not a problem. Not a problem. When do you need me to call you back, man?
And what was the topic again?
We're going to be talking about amusement parks. We're going to be talking about, I understand, the topic I have here is Toy Story invades Disney World. So,
fantastic. We can talk about that. Yeah, 10 minutes. I'm actually getting a blood test right now.
Not a problem. Not a problem, brother. I will call you back here in a few. Peter Trabuco, busy. So we will we will call him back. He says 10 minutes. I don't know if we're going to call him. We have made contact with Peter Trabuco, finally. So we are going to go to him here in just a few moments. We're going to give him a holla holla on the old Skype audio. We're going to give him a holla 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 holla. And get Peter in here. We are going to...
Pete Trabuco.
And there's Pete. Let me find our co-host here, Jaybird Wells, and we will be chatting with the travel expert, Peter Trabuco, here in just a few moments. He joins us live here on our big broadcast. It is the Mix on Tuesdays, and Jaybird Wells back with us here on our program. And Peter Trabuco is a travel expert. You have probably seen him all over the place. He has been on many a national stage. He's an amusement park expert. He's a top travel analyst, and he's going to use his expertise and experiences today to break down details on all the new additions to some of the different parks around the country. Pete has been recently featured on Fox, CNN, MSNBC, and DWC to share his stories, and he's made himself available to us today here on our broadcast. He also has a fantastic all-new book, A Personal Guide to the Best Thrill Rides and Amusement Water Parks, and he joins us here on our broadcast. And Pete, first of all, tell us a little bit about your book here, because this is definitely a good book going into the summer with people traveling and all these things.
Well, it's a great book. It's actually the personal guide to the best roller coasters, thrill rides, not just here but also in Europe. And it's the second edition to America's top roller coasters and amusement parks. Now, I got in a little trouble last time when I was doing the best roller coasters and thrill rides, because if I didn't ride it, I really couldn't rate it. So this second book is actually a way for me to say, well, it's my personal guide. I've written over 500, so it's my personal guide. So if I go to a book signing or go to some event, that they don't go, well, why wasn't my roller coaster? I remember Gianna did that to me. The famous food gets on Food Network. I said, why wasn't my roller coaster done? So I felt really bad about that. I did add her roller coaster in this one, but overall, I made it my personal guide, because even though it doesn't cover every roller coaster, it's most of the big ones, and this way I can basically talk about it and have first-hand experience on it.
Fantastic. Now, Peter Trabuco with us today. He's an amusement park expert and top-selling author, and he's with us today here on our big program. And I have never really been on a roller coaster because I am terribly afraid of roller coasters. Kind of ease me into the whole roller coaster world there, Pete.
Well, I was afraid of roller coasters, too. Even though I'm a pilot and I did a lot of aerobatics and everything, I had a childhood fear when I was younger, which took about 40 years for me to actually overcome. So it was actually something that I did through therapy and was able to come over. And, of course, in my books, there's a section on how to overcome the fear of roller coasters and amusement parks. And one of the things I've learned is that people have a tendency to actually not have control over their environment, and that's one of the reasons why they have so many issues and problems with it. Once you realize that it's a very safe industry, and once you realize that the ride is going to end and you are going to survive, and it's one of the safest industries around, and you're going to be fine, you can actually enjoy the ride, as you want to call it. Pardon the pun. So, that's one of the things I did. Now, for you, I once had a gentleman on a television show, morning show, down in Virginia Beach, and there was a gentleman there by the name of Michael who was afraid of roller coasters, and we put him on the biggest roller coaster at Williamsburg, which is Griffin, and it took me an hour to get him able to go on that ride, but by the end of the broadcast, the news broadcast, the morning broadcast, we got him to ride it 3 times. So I know I can do that with you too, as well.
Now, Jay, have you ever been on roller coasters or any of these thrill rides?
Well, first off, I have been waiting a while to sit here and geek out. It's Pete.
Hello.
Okay, so now that I got my geekiness out, I don't have to stalk him because we're friends. So, anyway, as to roller coasters, I probably haven't been on a roller coaster since a real roller coaster since before the kids were born. But here recently, I wanted your take on this, Pete. Some kid died off of a water park in Kansas, and the Kansas legislator went and took it out on all these, like, the state fairs would have these little dinky, tiny little roller coasters that wouldn't hurt a fly, and the little small state parks, the state fairs, they didn't have accidents, but yet a big amusement ride. What do you see in this industry that it's affecting, like, the little companies?
Well, the little companies are obviously being bought out by the bigger ones. Of course, Six Flags and Cedar Fair, and of course Disney and SeaWorld, Universal Studios. The list will go on and on and on. Now, that particular incident, I believe, was because there was, I guess, the harness system, especially on water rides. They're not nearly as good as those on actual set roller coasters. So the harness system on board these rafts and water slides are not nearly as secure. And unfortunately, that's an issue that really the water park industry has to work on, not the amusement park. But you'll find that most amusement parks now also own water parks. So it's all about the technology. It's all about the harness restraint systems that are not being used or being used, but to the point where it's not on the same level as, let's say, Millennium Force in Cedar Point, or Top Thrill Dragster, or maybe even the tallest roller coaster in the country, King Ka, which is about 450 feet high, 130 miles an hour. Those restraint systems are made so that nothing like that can happen. So, unfortunately, for the small potato, it's getting pretty difficult. The average mom-pop amusement park is having a hard time competing with the big ones, and unfortunately, that's a trend that we'll probably see even more in the future.
That sounds more like a I don't know, a competition monopoly than it does about safety in some ways.
Well, safety is really out there, and again, with regards to what's happening politically, a lot of times the politicians just lump everything together. We've seen it many times on many bills, and I think what they did is they just lumped everything together. Now, having said that, I've gone to some carnivals where I've actually looked at some of those rides and said, no, not for me. I'm not going to do that. So, there are some, but the industry is very well policed. There are actual states that actually take control over everything. Whenever there's an accident, there's always an investigation. It's similar to what you would get in the FAA coming in, basically, working on the solutions and not seeing that problem happen again. It is actually, and this is a real fact, you're more likely to get hit by lightning, not once, but twice, before you have a fatality at an amusement park. I think it's 1 in 300, 400 million. So it's very low. And 9 times out of 10, if there is a tragedy, it is usually right or error, them doing something that they should not have done.
What about some of these goons and weird people on YouTube videos where they're passing out?
On a ride?
Yeah.
Well, some of the new rides have some high G-force. Now, as a pilot, I can tell you that some of these new rides are getting very close. Maybe not there yet, but they're getting close to some aerobatic maneuvers that you do in an airplane. You can go up to almost 5 or 6 Gs, not for a sustained time, but for a couple seconds. I mean 5 or 6 times your own body weight. If you, for example, on a really hot day, 90, 100 degrees, go on a ride that's 3.5, 4 minutes long and you're not hydrated, the G-force might brown you or black you out for a split second. I always tell people, and as a pilot I learned this, is that you want to be able to grunt or scream. Now, you wouldn't grunt on a roller coaster. People will look at you very funny. But if you scream on a roller coaster, it keeps the blood up into your upper extremities. And that's how all these pilots that don't wear G-suits, like the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels, they don't wear G-suits. So in order to keep the blood up into their upper extremities, they grunt, or they push the blood up into their upper extremities so they don't black out or brown out. The people that actually do that on YouTube obviously either are faking doing it, or they really have not been hydrated enough, and the G-forces have actually affected them.
That's the problem with a lot of teens these days. They go out and they drink all these energy drinks and Gatorades, but they're not drinking what? Water?
Well, water's obviously the best thing. Yeah, Gatorade's good also, because it'll replace a lot of the electrolytes. But, you know, the worst thing you could do is drink alcohol, beer, or anything along those lines on a roller coaster. It just doesn't work. I mean, picture yourself, you know, not in your car driving at 30, 40 miles an hour, but on a roller coaster going 124 miles an hour, and basically having no idea what's happening. I've been on rides where that's actually happened, and there was a ride that they used to have that used to face the rider. So you were looking at the rider, and the rider was looking at you, and when you go over a hill or something, God forbid they vomited or something, it ends up in your lap. So,
Ew.
So I'm serious. It happened many times. Not to me, but I've heard of stories about that happening. So alcohol is probably a bad thing to do before you ride.
So, an idea for your third book, Pete and Jay Take America.
Sounds good. Now, I'm going to come down and see you guys, and I know that someone over there is afraid of roller coasters, so I'm going to have to find a... I'm going to have to find a local television station in your area, and we'll do the morning show, and hopefully I'll be as successful as I was with the gentleman in Virginia Beach over at Williamsburg.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We've got Pete Trabuco. He's with us today here on our program, and discussing his various books. And you have been all over the place. Tell us a little bit about some of the different things that are going on at Disney World, because I understand that they're changing a lot of the way that they do things, adding some different things. You know that they've recently come across buying a lot of them. They have all the Marvel characters now. They've got Star Wars. Tell us about some of the different Toy Story, I understand, is doing some things. Tell us about some of the different upgrades they've been doing.
Well, you know, you hit it right on the head. Last year, of course, it was Pandora, which was the big thing, and I was actually there opening day, 3-hour wait. But thanks to the fact that some of the people kind of knew me there, I was able to avoid that line. But it was about 3 hours. So Pandora is still an amazing ride, and even though it's a year old at this point, if you've not done it, if you've not done the flight of I think it's the flight of whatever. It's actually an amazing ride. It's like soaring, but on steroids. You'll love it. As a pilot, I can tell you it really feels like flying. When you flip upside down, it really feels like you flipped upside down and done an inverted, roll, a barrel roll or something. But the big thing now this year is obviously Toy Story Land. This is absolutely going to be amazing. It's running now, 11-acre land with Toy Story Mania. 2 new attractions. You've got a family coaster called the Slinky Dog. Now, these are small roller coasters, but they're a lot of fun. And, of course, there's the alien swirling saucers, which they put you in a little saucer and your vehicle around with the claw. And it's a lot of fun. These rides are kiddie rides, but I recommend that when you go, have the adults go, too, because it's just an amazing thing. Toy Story had taken off so well at these parks that they just needed more room to even do the 3D ride. I mean, the lines were getting so long because they didn't have enough cars to accompany that. So, yeah, this is a major, major, major operation, one that I absolutely love. If you've not lived in a cave, you'll see all the ads on television, and they all go to Toy Story Land and all the different things, the big boulders they're doing, and, of course, all the offerings that Disney's well known at doing. So it's one of the things that's really a big attraction. One, again, I would not miss. Now, also, this is a little controversy, but this is the first year that Donald Trump is actually at the Hall of Presidents. So it actually makes the list of interesting things to actually go and see. And, of course, as you know, the sitting president, is always the one who resides over the others during the presentation. So even though you may not like him or you do like him, he is a big attraction right now at the Hall of Presidents. So there's a whole bunch of things going on there. I don't know if you like restaurants, but the Edison is a new kind of like a 1920s electric company power plant, but it actually is a great little restaurant. It's got DJs, food and cocktails, live entertainment, and a really, really great place to go. And one of the things I think you'll find. Now, also, Animal Kingdom is also doing a new show, which is the you all know the movie Up. Everyone knows the movie Up and the Great Bird Adventure, and it's basically a show very similar to the Tarzan show they did earlier at the Caravan Theater, and it's just an amazing place to see a show. Every time I go to Animal Kingdom, one of the must-do events is actually going into that Caravan Theater and seeing the latest shows. They do an amazing job, and as you know, Disney has now moved over to Broadway, and a lot of these shows start here and they end up going to Broadway. So it's a great experience.
We've got Pete Trabuco with us today. Jay, go.
So you were gonna try to convert Jiggy on a roller coaster. How were you planning on doing that?
Well, the way we did it on the television thing that we did, basically we actually went through the entire ride, the mechanics of the ride. And of course, this is a limb launch or a lunar induction type of a ride. We went through all the electronics, went underneath into the guts of the actual roller coaster, showing how many systems are on this particular ride so that it's safe. Then we went up to the escape tower, which is 220 feet up, and literally the wind was howling up there. Now, if you could go up to the escape tower at 220 feet with nothing but a little bar that's basically holding you from where the first drop is, the first straight drop on Griffin, you could survive anything. Even I was a little afraid up there. But once we showed him that and showed him the whole escape system that's in place, if there's any type of a situation, it was then up to basically just giving him enough nerve to try the ride. Once he did it, not only did he love it, but and was worried about nothing, but he rode it two more times during the show. So obviously it definitely did work. And normally I don't do that with a person. I'll take them on a small wood coaster or maybe a kiddie coaster, move up to a mid-range, and then go from there. And then finally get them to that level. But in this particular case, due to time constraints, the television station, I believe it was an NBC affiliate, wanted us to get him to that top level quickly. So we did it. Took about an hour and 15 minutes. But I can definitely do it for you too.
It'll be
closest one I know of is Kansas City or Oklahoma City.
Well, there's some great ones there. If you ever want to go, I'll meet you. I haven't been there in a while, and I believe there's some nice mega coasters there, and that would be a good one. Although I think I start you on a little wood coaster first, and then we can move our way up.
We've got a great guest with us today. Peter Trabuco joins us here in our program, and Pete, you have a lot of background when it comes to some of the different things in roller coasters. How did you get interested in all these thrill rides and roller coasters and things like that?
Well, it was a labor of love. I mean, as I said before, I was put on a roller coaster in Coney Island about 5 or 6 years old. Didn't like the experience, had a childhood fear of it. My daughter was born something like 30 years later, and I was sitting on the sidelines holding all the purses and all that stuff. And for a pilot guy like myself, sitting there with small little dogs and holding purses and looking up at them having fun, I decided it was time when my daughter was born to overcome that fear, so I could ride roller coasters with her and do things with her, and also my poor wife who had to endure this for 20 or 30 years. So basically I overcame it, and I started riding smaller roller coasters. Realized that I'm a pilot and I've done a lot more incredible, amazing, high-tech things. That was just a childhood fear I needed to get over. And once I did that and realized it was fun, it was great. And now that I'm older and I don't really want to do aerobatics in an airplane at 10,000 feet, due to my age, it's a little safer to actually simulate all that stuff on roller coasters. It still has that pucker factor. You still have that thrill. It mimics a lot of the aviation movements that you'll find on a roller coaster. So for me, it was just a nice marriage into an industry that is everyone goes to. I mean, 1/3 of the entire country will visit an amusement park every year. So it is definitely a booming market.
It's pretty amazing. Well, it is Peter Trabuco. Go, Jay. You got some questions.
I was just going to say that, just listening to his story, this is the type of person I want to read a book from. I don't want to read a book from somebody who, has ridden roller coasters all their lives. This is a fascinating, it's like a miracle. It's a dream come true. It's facing your fears.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what it is. And thank you very much. I just saw Facebook. You put me on the Facebook. Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
We've got Peter Trabuco with us today. And Peter, as we wrap up here, my friend, how do we get a hold of you online, find you on social media, all that?
Well, the funny thing about it is, and this is the age-old joke, is that when I get really depressed, I Google myself.
That's awesome.
You can actually find me on Google, but I have a Facebook page, obviously, a Wikipedia page, a Twitter page. But the best place to buy the book or know more about what's going on would be at www.petetrabuco.com, or you can visit Starry Night Publishing, great publisher for my new book. And again, basically, you can look online. I do a lot of stuff. I also, by the way, with all the money I receive from the publisher, any residuals I get, I will give to charity. This is a labor of love. When I started doing this, to ride with my daughter and to have fun with her, and obviously I want to pay it forward. So anytime you actually buy my book, the percentage I receive from the publisher will go to a charity.
That's awesome. That's awesome, my friend. Well, I look forward to chatting with you more, and thanks for coming on and talking to me and Jay today.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you, and I can't wait to meet you all. And I was serious. We're going to get together. We're going to go to the local amusement park, and we're going to overcome that fear.
Well, I look forward to that.
I have a confession. I'm for roller coasters, but I have a height problem.
Height problem?
Yes, a height problem.
You're too small for a roller coaster or too tall for a roller coaster?
It's the height.
She's afraid of heights.
Oh, you mean height of the roller coaster?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were like 7'1" or something.
No.
Where you could. well, listen. The best thing about a roller coaster, and this is how I'm a pilot. I still have fear of heights, even though I'm a pilot. We learn certain things while we're flying, and that is, never look straight down, okay? You always look to the horizon or look in front of you. On a roller coaster, I tell people the fear of heights, don't look to the side. Look straight ahead at the person in front of you, the track in front of you. Focus in on a point, and the heights will not bother you nearly as much. The problem is, if you're climbing a ladder or you do something like that, go on your house or whatever, the problem is you look down, and you're pretty much done at that point when you look down. So even today, while I might be doing loop-the-loops in an airplane, I'm focusing on different things, but I'm never just looking down. I'm always doing something, thinking about something, looking at a wing or something, or looking at the horizon and how my airplane or how the roller coaster is angling towards a particular location or spot that I'm aiming for. And that seems to overcome the height of the fear of flight, of actually flying, and of course heights.
Awesome. Well, Pete, I appreciate you making time, and we definitely will talk to you soon. Thank you, man.